Luke Kennard sure does. As we say hello and welcome to Access Sportsnet Lakers, brought to you by your Toyota dealers. We make it easy. Allie Clifton alongside Derek Fisher, Robert Horry, Mike Trudell, handling the fun happening in Orlando right now. The good times, they keep on rolling for the Lakers, who have now won their 9th straight. They are 22-6 now in the clutch, guys. They've won 12 of their last 13, not to mention are 4-0 on this current 6-game road trip. Derek, I'll start with you. Biggest takeaway out of this one?
I mean, so many takeaways. We got a full hour. We'll get to the other ones. You know, the basketball gods are real. They really are. And sometimes when you're not bringing the right spirit and there are a lot of different things pulling on the team, the basketball gods don't work in your favor. But this team, with the road that they're on, a lot of the points that Rob mentioned pregame, about their connection, their chemistry, their camaraderie. They're enjoying playing basketball together. Good things just starting
to climb back in this game, but more importantly, believe in themselves, and that's what happened down the stretch.
We obviously have to go to that final possession there for Luke Kennard, and I think, too, back-to-back incredible ATO possessions, which makes a head coach very happy, I'm sure, if you're J.J. Redick in this moment. But as two clutch shooters yourselves, I mean, heck, that is your nickname, right? What does that take? What's that moment like for Luke, especially the newest Laker? Hasn't been here long.
You know, when you're a shoot, and you think about Luke Kennard, he's one of the best shooters in the NBA, and you stand out there wide open, and there's no other choice but to knock that down. I think for him, that's probably the best shot and the cleanest shot he's had in a long time. Look how wide open he is. He could have ate a sandwich before they got out there. And I think for him, being that is a vote of confidence, because you think about, he just said in his interview, he hadn't been shooting all that well. But when you're able to knock down a shot like this in a big moment to keep your streak alive, the biggest thing out of this, not the dub, is the confidence that he's just built. Even though he's a confident shooter, but just sometimes when you make
and confidence by the guys down the stretch.
You know what I like best out of the happiest guy is the oldest guy. You see it in those videos right there. I don't think LeBron wanted to let him go. He was just hugging. That show you how the passion and the love he has for this game. You know, you can see some people at this moment say, "Oh, can I hug you once? Let's go to the locker room." But he's still like that. That's the child joy he has for this game. And I love seeing things like that.
He's choosing to stay in the moment with everything, even when he's on the golf course, staring a gator down. I don't know if you guys saw that video. That was just from yesterday. I do want to say this really quick because J.J. Redick has sat down. But I heard you guys talking in the pregame, and you mentioned body language and what you're seeing, especially during this stretch. It's one thing to be on this streak and experience the winning and the magic that they are right now. But for a player like Luke Kennard, who you know you're going to need if you want to go places when it matters most in the postseason, for this team to see that kind of celebration and reaction, what does it tell you moving forward about the position that they're in right now?
That there is trust within the group, you know, a willingness to just make the right basketball play. It's something that the coaching staff focuses on daily. They talk about it daily, and they've played the game that way. Yeah, Luke Kennard in that situation is wide open. Marcus does have to throw it to him, but if LeBron had been driving the basketball and two guys were on him, he would have thrown a hook pass back to Luke Kennard for that shot as well. It's very similar to the pass LeBron made to Rui in the corner in Toronto when he could have gone for the double-digit streak. And so all season long, in these moments, they've just tried to make the right basketball play that's needed for the team. And that trust, even sometimes when things don't work out or the ball doesn't go in, the trust is what will take them into April, May, and June, because they've been building on that all season.
You know, sometimes when you sit in the second chair and someone takes your word, because I was going to say trust, too. That's the first thing that came to my mind. The trust that they have in one another, the belief that they're going to make the shot. So I can't say anymore because he took what I was going to say. You got to trust everybody on your team. If you don't trust them, it shows. And because you think about, I'm going to take it, and I see you open, Allie, I can feel the distrust if I don't kick it to you. But if I kick it to you and you miss it or make it, and I still like, that's the trust that they have. And I think that's what the Lakers have now, that trust.
You know why you guys were so aligned? Because I asked a question about winning. And how many rings do you have between the two of you?
Well, Rob got 7.
You just get it. Thanks for doing the math. Rob's got 7. He reminds us a lot.
No,
We're going to head back to Orlando.
James.
Orlando, it's time to hear from Coach J.J. Redick. It's brought to you by your Toyota dealers.
Just first on the final shot, you had the view kind of right in line from where Luke's shot was. Just the emotions of it all, seeing the ball go up in the air, and how the ball got into his hands based on what you were looking at to draw up out of the timeout.
Yeah. So down 2, and we get LeBron open. We actually just challenged this call in our last game, and the ball got initially hit, but then if LeBron still has possession of the ball and then gets fouled across the arm, that's considered a foul because we challenged that. We lost that challenge. So again, another night where explanations just get changed based on a whim. We had to overcome a lot tonight, and by that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Greg St. Jean drew up the baseline out of bounds play. We were looking at LeBron as sort of the first option on that slip. Maybe Luka coming off the double if they messed up on a red. Braun did a great job drawing 2. And I just, for Smart, he makes the first baseline or side out of bounds play, makes the right pass, perfect on the money to LeBron, and then on the baseline to have to go through your check downs, and then he recognizes that Luke was wide open as soon as he caught it and released it. Yeah, we knew it was in. We all had that perfect angle. It was whatever the highest grade on Noah is. It would have been that.
We had that conversation a couple weeks ago about how many shots Luke makes in an empty gym, right? And there's probably nobody in the world, right, who's going to knock down more than those. Even he said 1 or 2 more than you. How do you feel for him getting that moment now after all the moments on this road trip from other guys?
I'm really happy for him. I really am. Him and I had a great conversation this morning. He wants it so bad. He wants to help this team, and I think it's hard getting traded midseason. I've talked about it so many times, and sometimes you get in an early rhythm, and then sometimes you get out of that rhythm. And he, all night was just really, really good for us, and deserved that opportunity and all the work. That's a money shot for him.
JJ, without addressing the specifics of what you're talking about in terms of overcoming a lot, generally speaking, your team at times this year has been pretty affected by officiating. Just how
I didn't say officiating.
Your team has been affected by exterior things they cannot control in games?
External situations.
Yeah, sure. Just in terms of growth and poise, how good of a test was this for your team tonight? And just how did you see them come through?
Yeah, I thought we've had a number of things happen in the last couple of weeks. We've had a number of things happen on this road trip that has shown growth for our group. We did a good job of just playing through stuff, whether it was some cold shooting, some hot shooting from them for a little stretch there, getting down, playing on the road. Again, the external circumstances of whatever tonight was, and not allowing that to get us off our game. Truly, we just kept playing. We talked about it at halftime. We talked about it in huddles. One of the weirdest games I've been a part of in that regard.
Jay, did you guys get any explanation from the officials on the technical for Luka?
No, but we'll obviously try to get that rescinded. I'm not sure what happened. I do know that there were certain things said in a language that the referees couldn't understand in references to Luka's mom, and I think they just. Austin gets targeted 3 times by Carter. They didn't have a real good control of that basketball game.
And the win streak's now at 9, and you guys done it in a variety of ways, but have the same end result. What's this felt like to ride this wave at this stage of the season?
Man, that's a good question. Every stage of the season is exhausting for different reasons. This week has obviously been a lot in terms of the intensity, the preparation, the travel. We've got 2 more games on this trip. We get to go home for a little bit. We've got our first 2-day break in between games, not counting All-Star break since December 27th, an opportunity to practice, which is exciting. It's all felt, I think, rewarding to see the growth for the group. But it's on to the next thing. There's a lot we can get better at from tonight. There's a lot we can get better at from Miami. I do think growth-wise, I thought our defense in the second half was on par with where we needed to be. But yeah, it's all kind of blends together, and you got to enjoy the good moments.
It's really good when you don't have to talk about the situation going on with Luka Doncic right now regarding picking up his 16th technical foul in this game, which according to league policy means he will be suspended for the next game played, which would be versus Detroit on Monday. However, JJ just mentioned they'll try and figure out to see if they can get that rescinded. If not, nonetheless, obviously that's a situation that's on their hands right now if he does miss. But you did mention, 12 million points in the last 48 hours for Luka. He is at 133 over the last 72. So despite he had himself a performance, obviously got going early, but you got to factor in the situation and the facts that are at hand right now.
Yes, and the reacting is always going to get you in trouble, right? There's a way to respond to what something that is said or something that is done that may be disrespectful to you or your family, etc. And if you're aware of the circumstances, you have a choice to make. Mm-hmm. He made the choice to react in the moment. They can win the game without him, to be honest. If he doesn't play on Monday night, that's just the reality of it because of the situation that they're in. The Pistons won't have Cade Cunningham. The Lakers have enough on their roster to still get it done. And then you just move on to the next game, and you don't overthink it. They'll go through their process of trying to see if they can get it rescinded, but it is what it is at this point.
I want to see him get it rescinded, not just the fact that Luka's on the roll, but I'm thinking more for him and the role he is as far as MVP. This is one of the key games, especially going up against Detroit, who's the top team in the East. And that performance against them is going to make, the voters look up and say, oh, even though there's no Cade Cunningham, but I'm still, sometimes they don't watch. They just look at Detroit beat by Lakers and, oh, Luka had 60 points. And for me, that's the one thing that I hope it gets rescinded and Luka understands that it hits home for him. Like, I can't put myself in that position. You can say whatever you want about my family, my daughter, my whatever it is, you got to understand, those are just words. Words aren't going to bother you, but getting that L on him is going to bother him more than those words. And so I think that's what this situation can put Luka in the mindset like, oh, I got to be more presence of mind not to get out of my character and be better.
Yeah, because two things. One, once I know that about you, there's going to be somebody in the playoffs that'll do the same thing to get you to react, if that's what it takes to get you a technical or your fifth foul or whatever, sixth foul, whatever the situation may be. Secondly, when the NBA does go through the process of determining whether to rescind it or not, they're going to talk to the big guy, Bataze, and get a statement from him, ask him what he said, make sure that everything is known, the facts. And depending on what he said, if he tells the truth, or they may ask other players that were within earshot of the conversation, they're going to talk to the referees about what they may have heard. It's possible it is rescinded if they feel like what was said was derogatory enough or negative enough that a player should have a little bit of leeway to say something back.
But I always laugh because I've watched certain players, I ain't gonna call them name, Draymond Green, that says things to the refs and they let it slide. But when you say things to another player and there's no pushing or shoving, you want to call it double take on the players. Stop taking money out of the players' pockets by calling that. And when you let another guy just talk to you like directly to you, crazy. That doesn't register in my mind sometimes, Allie. I know I ain't the smartest guy, but that right there
was one time
don't make sense.
that it was given, and it costed him a pretty big playoff game from the Ohio girl herself. Nonetheless, something we'll keep an eye on, as Luka did pick up, as it stands right now, his 16th technical foul of the regular season. Let's get you to Orlando. Check out the